You already know the answer. You keep asking God for clarity, but clarity may not be the problem. Courage might be. A lot of people say they're waiting on God, waiting on confirmation, waiting on direction, waiting on a sign. But if we're honest for a moment, most of the time, the direction is already clear. The uncomfortable truth is, we often know exactly what we should do. We just don't want to do it. So instead of moving, we keep asking. We keep praying the same prayer. God, just show me what to do. God, give me a sign. God, make it obvious. But sometimes the answer has already been given. And the silence you feel is not God ignoring you. It's God waiting on you, waiting to see if you'll trust what you already know, waiting to see if you'll move without another signal, waiting to see if you'll walk by faith, because faith rarely looks like certainty. Faith often looks like a step taken while you're still unsure. And that's the part most people struggle with. People don't want clarity. People say they want clarity, but what they really want is comfort. They really want reassurance. They want guarantees. They want a path where nothing can go wrong. But that kind of path doesn't exist, and God never promised it would. Think about the moments in your life when you felt stuck, not confused, just hesitant, not lost, just afraid. Deep down, you sense what direction was right. But the step required something from you. It required courage. It required discipline. It required letting go of something familiar. And that's when the negotiations start. You start asking for more confirmation, more signs, more reassurance. Not because the answer isn't clear, but because the answer is uncomfortable. Sometimes the answer is leave. Sometimes the answer is start. Sometimes the answer is forgive. Or sometimes the answer is change your habits. Sometimes the answer is walk away from what's easy. Sometimes the answer is step into something unknown. And we hear those answers. We hesitate because obedience can feel expensive. Faith doesn't wait for certainty. Obedience can cost comfort. Obedience can cost familiarity. Obedience can cost relationships. Obedience also can cost habits that feel safe. But growth rarely happens inside safety. Growth happens when you step beyond what's familiar. That's why clarity often follows movement, not the other way around. Most people think clarity comes first. They believe the full path should be visible. But faith doesn't work like that. Faith reveals the next step, not the entire staircase. And when you take that step, the next one appears. But if you refuse the first step, the rest of the path stays hidden. This is where many people get stuck for years. Not because God hasn't spoken, but because they keep waiting for a different answer. They hope the message will change. They hope the direction will soften. They hope the costs will disappear. But it rarely does. God often gives the same answer until you respond to it. God's silence isn't punishment. Have you ever noticed something about conversations? When someone keeps ignoring what you told them, eventually you stop repeating yourself. You wait, you give them space, you let them decide whether they're going to listen. Sometimes God's silence works the same way. It's not rejection, it's patience. God has already shown you the door. Now He's waiting to see if you'll walk through it. And that waiting can feel uncomfortable because standing still creates pressure. You feel the tension, you feel the inner nudge, you feel the quiet voice that keeps returning. But fear tries to drown it out. Fear tells you to delay. Fear tells you to stay comfortable. Fear tells you to wait for a better time. Fear tells you to keep asking for signs. But signs rarely solve fear. Only action does. Waiting can be fear in disguise. Waiting feels spiritual. It sounds responsible. It sounds wise. But sometimes waiting is just fear wearing a religious disguise. We say we're waiting on God, but what we really mean is we're afraid. Afraid of change, afraid of failure, afraid of losing something familiar. Because obedience can change your life. It can change your habits. It can change your relationships. It can change the direction of your future. And that level of change is intimidating. But the longer you delay, the heavier the decision becomes, and the more power fear gains over your life. Movement creates clarity. The moment you move, something shifts. Your perspective changes. Your confidence begins to grow. New opportunities start appearing. New clarity begins forming. Because movement creates momentum. Momentum builds courage, and courage unlocks possibilities. Think about the times you finally took a step you were avoiding. At first, it felt terrifying. Your mind filled with doubts. Your heart raced with uncertainty. But once you moved, you realized something powerful. The fear was bigger than the reality. And the step you avoided for months turned out to be the doorway to growth. Your breakthrough may be one decision away. Sometimes the breakthrough you're praying for is hiding behind the decision you're avoiding. A decision to move, a decision to change, a decision to obey the direction already placed on your heart. Because clarity often waits on the other side of courage, not endless hesitation, not endless requests for confirmation, but a moment where you decide to trust, a moment where you choose faith over fear, and the moment you take that step, your life begins to move forward. Thank you for listening. Stay motivated, spirits.